Hi everyone, welcome to our second Art in Action class. So today's Art in Action class is based on this painting by George Bellows called Dempsey and Furpo. And today we'll be making action figures using sculpting wire. So we have here the first two showing two action figures dancing. And actually we'll be making two action figures, and you will put them so that they will be placed so that they will be interacting with each other. And you also have some pipe cleaners that you can use to dress up your action figure, either with clothing or with equipment. These are the materials you will need today, and you can find them in the packet that you picked up from Mrs. Powers yesterday. So you will need a sketchbook and drawing pencils for sketching out your ideas. For the artwork itself, you will need two sculpting wires, pipe cleaners, a piece of paper, a black mat piece of paper for attaching your sculpture at the end, and you will need a stapler and scissors. So a stapler will be used to attach your wire figure to the mat board, and if you don't have one, you can use other things. You can use glue, tape, putty, or if you have any homemade slime, you can use any of these things to attach your wire figure. Let's first learn a little bit about our artist. His name is George Bellows, shown here on the left. He was born more than 100 years ago. He was born in the Midwest in Ohio, and he went to college, art college, out in New York, and he remained there. He lived there the rest of his life. But while he was in college, he was an artist, but he was also a really good baseball player. And he was so good that the Cincinnati Reds, it's a professional baseball team, they wanted to recruit him to have him play professionally, but he chose to be an artist instead. So Bellows was part of a group of artists who painted events and scenes that were common in everyday life. So for example, he painted the dock workers here. So you can see long pieces of log. There's a horse, and there it's maybe on the piers of New York City, and they're building a pier. Here is another painting that George Bellows made, and it shows a dirty back alley in New York City, where he's trying to show the not so great living conditions that people lived in back then. So you can see laundry that are hanging out to dry in open air. You see people sort of half dressed, and some people sitting down and looking not so happy. Oftentimes it showed garbage cans or ash cans where people dumped ashes from their furnaces. And so him and some of his other friends who painted sceneries like this were called the Ash Can School of Painters. So George Bellows painted a lot of things, but his most favorite type of sceneries that he liked to paint were sporting events. So here's the painting that I showed you at the very beginning, the painting that we're studying. So it shows two boxers fighting, and it looks like it's really you can kind of feel the action, and it's very intense. The painting is called Dempsey and Furpo, and these are the names of the two boxers, Dempsey and Furpo, who actually had a real fight in 1923, about 100 years ago in New York. And this event was called one of the most exciting boxing matches of all time. And so George Bellows was in the event, and he he watched this fight, And you can see him in this painting, and try to see if you can find him in the audience. Okay, so for today's art in action, we are going to first think of some of our favorite activities, and we will try to make our action figures showing these activities. So maybe you can take a few minutes to think about what you like to do and what you like to make using your sculpting wire. So here are some examples I came up with: walking your dog, playing basketball, jumping rope, dancing, or maybe surfing. And when you when you decide on the activities, then you can think of what kind of clothing your figures will be wearing and what kind of things that they will need to do those activities, like a jump rope or a baseball mitt. And here is the video showing you how to make the action figures.
Sketch a contour drawing of the figure with the drawing pencil in the sketchbook. Make a simple contour drawing of the student in a running pose. Notice the positions of the arms, legs, and torso. Are the legs and arms bent or straight? Is the torso vertical or at an angle? Notice how the diagonal lines help convey a sense of movement. Make 2 more contour drawings of figures in other action poses. They can overlap in the sketchbook. Make an action figure using wire. Note, this is a step-by-step lesson. Guide students through this project until the basic figures are formed. Form the head. Adults may do this in advance. Bend the wire loosely in half until the ends are even. Hold the wire in one hand about 1 inch from the bend and put 1 or 2 fingers in the loop. Hold the wire in the other hand and twist, forming the neck and a nickel-size oval for the head. Form the arms. Bend 1 wire about 2 inches or the length of a child's pinky finger into a loop for the arm and twist it around the other wire below the neck to secure it. Repeat the process with the other wire to form the other arm. Leave the long ends for the legs. Form the torso. Twist the long wires around each other with 2 twists about 1 inch below the neck. Form the legs. Bend 1 wire in the loop back up to the torso and twist the end around the torso to secure it. Repeat the process for the other leg. Form the hands and feet. Twist the arm wire around itself from the shoulder to the wrist, leaving a small loop for the hand. Repeat with the other arm. Twist the leg wire around itself from the hip to the ankle, leaving a small loop for the foot. Repeat with the other leg. Check to make sure the figure is in proportion. The wire can be untwisted and adjusted as necessary. Make a second figure using the second wire and following the same procedure. Bend the figures into action poses. Pose the figures in such poses as turning cartwheels, doing handstands, or running. Plan how the 2 figures will interact. Are they touching or playing side by side? Add the details using pipe cleaner. Wrap the pipe cleaner around the wire to add clothes, hair, skates, shoes, or hair ribbons. Use the extra pipe cleaners to attach the accessories, such as a baseball bat, jump rope, or balloon. Notice how the pipe cleaners give the figures texture and color, making the sculptures come to life. Secure the figures to a base. Staple the figures to a mat board to attach the feet or hands, depending on the pose. Rearrange the poses once the figures are securely attached. Write your name on the base when it is complete.